They took pleasure in winning battles, not in creating a plan that would lead to an effective and efficient outcome. Saddest of all, they came to see themselves as naturals, eminently qualified to be in charge, people who were good at fighting and winning political battles and beating enemies into submission. Serving in government was not the means to an end to create a better country, but an end in itself. The purpose of their government service was to accumulate personal power and to exercise that power over others. They didn't have a noble cause, even though they always acted as though they did, but a hidden need to wield power and maintain control of their little domain. You can tell who they are just from watching TV. They enjoy ridiculing their opponents. They tell you how smart they are whenever possible. Some of them like to belittle other people, setting them up as straw men just to knock them down. I will leave it to you to figure out what this says about them psychologically. Sometimes their personality is so ruling class that you don't even need to watch with the sound on to tell who they are. Just watch their body language, the way they hold their head, or the thrust of their jaw. They just know they are superior to you, though they may try to hide it by telling you how they are there to help you, as if you needed their help to run your own life. I never took these people too seriously until they stopped being content with their own tiny fiefdoms and started turning their attention to the nation and people like me. Back in July 2012, President Barack Obama said, "If you've got a business, you didn't build that." Well, I did build a business. Senator Elizabeth Warren said, "There is nobody in this country who got rich on his own. Nobody." Really? And back in October 2014, as she was unofficially kicking off her presidential campaign, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said, "Don't let anybody tell you it's corporations and businesses that create jobs." Who did then? The government? Personally, I've hired the people who work for me, and my efforts created those jobs, not the government. This is not an isolated attitude, but quite widespread among those who now run Washington. These are politicians, appointees, and bureaucrats who had spent their lives ensconced in government or at institutions such as Harvard, waiting for their chance to assume a position of political power. This is a class of like-minded people with similar backgrounds and resumes with a classic ruler's attitude. You couldn't accomplish that on your own. You needed me to do the hard work because I am smarter and better educated than you. It seemed to me like such an alien way for a real leader to act. If you were leading an organization, would you belittle the people in your organization who were the most successful? Wouldn't it make more sense to thank and congratulate them for a job well done, to encourage them to do even more in the future, and to empower them to achieve more success? It would seem to be even more important in the case of a country with an economy that wasn't doing so well. A real leader would be a cheerleader for accomplishment, not denigrate it. So I began to think of these people as what they are, the ruling class. They view their jobs not as leaders who encourage the rest of us to make the most of our talents, but as people who are superior, as though they are the shepherds and we the sheep. They ridicule the successful and do everything they can to make the population dependent on them. Conspiracies of the Ruling Class is the story of how I came to understand the behavior of people with this mindset. First, we will examine the historical roots of the ruling class. Our founding fathers knew all about them. They rebelled against their tyranny and set up a government designed to make it hard for a ruling class to assume control. But after 100 years of trying, it seems that the ruling class have finally achieved their goals. We might still have the power to dislodge them, but with the way things are going, we might not have it for long.